service. All right, we're recording. Excellent. So with this webinar, I've got the PowerPoint and I've got a couple attachments on it as well. I'm not sure. The idea by recording this is that you guys can go back and hopefully pull this back up at a later date if you want to review or see something, or if you miss a training, we're hoping that then you can catch up and take advantage of the recorded ones. So let's see, we'll see if it works. But I'll control the slides and everything. The chat box is there. You can select right above where it says below chat, it says send to, and you can select who you want to send your chat to, whether it's everyone or it's just somebody specific, and right below that is the box to write your chat message. The note area is where you can write notes for your personal self. And then the closed caption area, if I can make my fingers and everything work all at the same time of talking, I can take notes on the slides that would be there with them when it's saved at the end. And that would be ideal for Crystal, but she is not on the call tonight. So that being that, any questions? We feeling okay? All right. I'm going to get going. I'm going to put you guys on speaker. If you get any background noise, let me know, but this way I can use my fingers for typing if I need to. All right. Okay. You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Ow. Just banged my knee on the table. Boy. Okay. So from this training, you will be able to understand the 5 steps that take place when the child transitions from Part C to Part B. And Part C is EI, and Part B is school district. Be able to suggest strategies to families with children who are transitioning, whether you're helping them prepare for the changes in the new environment or helping them with issues that they might have with their district and strategies with maybe connecting with somebody or communicating with somebody and so forth. And then also be aware of at least 2 websites that families can use to learn more about special education law. There's a lot of resources in here, so you'll be getting a lot more than just that, hopefully. Okay, so your child's 2 1/2, now what? These are the 5 steps that happen, so that's one of those learning points. The referral packet that's sent to your special ed co-op, and that has to be with your written consent. And you can look at your documents before they're sent, and you can choose to omit pieces from your child's record if you don't want that shared with the school district. A transition planning conference is held, basically deciding, reviewing the records and just seeing what is going to happen. It's between you, your service coordinator, and your school district. Just kind of, I think of it as a meet and greet. It's also where the school district kind of can give you a heads up of what services they have in their district and resources for you. And also, guys, if there's anything that you have to add from your experiences, I'd love to hear it, because I know we've all been down different roads as far as with our districts. And Andrea, you have a humongous amount of knowledge about the IEP process, so feel free to jump on in. Domain review meeting, basically it's looking at these questions, really seeing if your child does need an IEP or if your child should be evaluated. And then moving on to the evaluations, and those are the key questions they're asking, who would service your child, or what services would be needed, why are the services needed, where would they take place, when would they take place, and so forth. Then the very last step is actually attending the IEP and then writing it out. So what is the IEP? Well, there is a lovely document that is on, hold on. Hold on, I'm going to pick up another one. There we go. There's a lovely document put out by Advanced Bionics that I found, and it's in their listening room. So if you go to thehearingjourney.com and into the listening room, you can pull up these documents and others as well. But this really breaks down about the purpose of an IEP meeting and where and what does it look like and who's going to be there. A wonderful resource for families. And, just spelling it out, but making it so anyone can read it and understand it, I think is very important. Understanding that the IEP must be reviewed, and then I believe all of you know that at any time you can ask the IEP team to reconvene and review the IEP and go again and make a new one too. You don't have to wait the year out. So who attends the IEP meeting? Obviously the parents. Now, parents don't need to go. I can't imagine a parent not wanting to go, but they don't need to be there.
Yes, I think they do.
We
can't, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we just had an IEP for one of my students, and we can't close it until the parent signs the document.
Right. They would have to sign off on it, but they don't need to physically be there.
Oh, physically. Oh, yeah, but it has to be through a phone conference, like you have to definitely tell them the goals or something.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, I see what you mean. Sorry.
Good question, though. Looking at the different participants from within the school district, whether it's the special ed director, the general ed teacher, special ed teacher, different therapists, psychologists, you name it, you've probably seen it at your own meetings. And I've heard many stories of people, that aren't at the meetings, that they're planning services for your child and that person isn't there to talk about it, which is not necessarily fair. Let's see. Scroll back up. So during the IEP process, each team member kind of brings together a different piece of the puzzle. But basically, they're going to share their information. You'll start off, too, with, how your child's current level, the evaluations that were done, and then you go into the different people at the meeting asking questions and sharing how they can help your child. And the most important thing that you can share with any family, and I think we all know from experience, is that don't be afraid to speak up, don't be afraid to share, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask for a break. Very important. If you feel like you're at a point where you've had enough or you're not quite sure and you want to talk to somebody privately, then ask for a break. You're more than welcome to them. Now, have any of you had your child participate in the IEP meeting yet?
Nope.
No. Okay, I was just wondering. I'm definitely not at
once they get to middle school, that's when they recommend it.
Yeah, I thought that it had to be a certain age.
They actually recommend it once they get to that age, but I mean, I guess you could fight for anything, but I don't see the benefit to it, honestly.
Right. So, as we were discussing, during the meeting, they discuss your child's strengths, any concerns that you might have, the evaluations. They'll look at what they might need as far as additional assistive technology and any other special needs that they might need to help facilitate their learning. And I think pretty much this document is all stuff we've pretty much gone through. The one thing, too, that should not be done in an IEP meeting is goals should not really come into the meeting pre-written. I know it saves time, and if they are, then hopefully the team goes through the goals well and really sees if they do fit the needs of the child, and that the parents are active participants in those goals and really understand what they mean and the time frame and make sure that they're measurable. All right. Any questions? We feeling good? All right. So after the IEP, a lot of things happen. One, there's a lot of build-up to the IEP. You get emotional, you get nervous, you're not sure what's going to happen, especially if it's your first time. Even my fifth one, I guess fourth one, somewhere in there, you still feel that kind of knot in your stomach before you go, and so that's okay. But I think for a family that's just going into it, you don't want to scare them talking about their emotions, but you certainly want to ask them how they're feeling and kind of go from there. Again, not wanting to scare them and make it any worse than it is for them. But the thing is to remember, not only is the parent having emotions, but that child will be also, especially if they're changing a new environment, a new school. Perhaps they were only going a few times a week, an hour or so each time, and now they're looking at a half-day or a day program. That's a lot for a kiddo that's 3 to transition and change into. So there are different things that they can do to work with their child to make it a successful transition, such as talking to the child, obviously, about the school, getting pictures of the school and sharing about what their day might look like. And a lot of schools I know have offered the opportunity for the parents to come in with the child and do a little tour before school starts. Now, I know if it's mid-year, that might not be really available, but maybe that's something that they can ask the school district to let them participate in or do, just to come in and do like a meet and greet one day. And then last but not least, making sure that families know that they don't have to be set in their ways. If something's not working, it's okay to change the course. It's okay to change their mind. That you kind of just have to learn by your experiences. And, for instance, with us, with our schooling choice at this time, and not exactly where I would have thought I would have been, but it's okay and it's working for us. So resources. You all received the When I'm 3, Where Will I Be book at the Guide by Your Side training. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hope you've all checked it out and used it and share it with your families. Mm-hmm. If you need to give a resource to the family and you don't want to give away your book, you can go to the website here and the family can pull it up, and the whole entire book is online, which is really nice. Another thing, too, is the pop-up IEP. Have any of you checked that out? Mm-hmm. Do any of you know what that is?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No.
We're all good? I think I might have probably shared it with most of you. So it's a wonderful resource on the Hands of Voices website, Hands of Voices National, and, basically they're common, not complaints, what do you put it, common
faux pas?
Yes, thank you. Common faux pas that school districts might say to a family, and they are not legal, they are not correct, and then what you do is you click on that and you can see your proper ways to respond to that without being hot and heated and jumping across the table and telling them that's wrong. So it's a wonderful resource. And again, when we share these with families, we're not sharing them with families to scare them, we're sharing them with families to empower them. Another resource, too, is I'm not sure if you know, with the Illinois State Board of Education, they do have a statewide parent consultant that you can speak with and kind of describe maybe some situations that you're having or concerns that you have, or even if you just have questions about the process, that they're there to speak with you. And actually, they have them for special ed, they have them for regular ed, they have them for homeschooling. So there are different people within the state that you can speak to get the answers that you need. So with other resources, obviously the Hands and Voices website. The Illinois website, you can link to the national one. There are memberships and also benefits for families for networking at Mom's Night In and other family nights and events that they host. I really believe that networking and just kind of getting a feel for others' experiences really helps you build your character, your knowledge. However, again, it's difficult because you don't want parents to get the wrong information. You don't want parents to get bent out of shape for no reason at all, thinking that it might be a really horrible event, this IEP that they have coming up, and it turns out to be not an issue. So I guess, you can just say everyone has different experiences, and some go really smoothly and some have concerns or issues that pop up, and, just keep that in mind when you talk to other families.
And for reference on Guide by Your Side, for us, for the Guide by Your Side people, I know most of the districts and how they react, so if anybody ever has questions, you can let me know, and if I know anything, I'll let you know.
Excellent. That's really good to know. It's so funny. I had a chat with my special ed director today, and it went very well. So you never know. From where we've been to where we are now, it's a whole different story. But it's all good. So advocacy, there's the definition of advocacy. It's kind of a scary word to me. It just seems so legal and so scary. I don't know why. But it really, to be an advocate is not to be somebody up there spitting out the law. It's just to really, know what you want and to work together to get those things and to get support or to be supportive of somebody else. And so I have these couple steps here with the parent checklist, and on the next page, I have a pretty little picture. This is actually the link to these resources that I'm popping up here, and so I'm going to pop up another one. These are the steps from the previous slide. So being familiar with the law, what laws should you be familiar with, preparing for the IEP. Really important to find out what programs are available in your district or around your district or in your area, gathering your information, talking with other parents. Again, if you're looking at going into your district, I know a surefire way is to attend a PTA meeting or PTO, whatever they're called these days, and to meet other families and just kind of get an idea of what's going on. They might not be a child with special needs, but you can get an idea of the school and teachers and, a parent's point of view. Actually attending the IEP, being professional, not emotional, very difficult, but it does help. And very important, asking for a break. I can't stress that one enough. Only because, it can be a little overwhelming sitting there where it might seem like it's the two of you, you and your husband, and there's 12 other people in the room, and, you might not feel like you can speak up or you can basically have a say or take advantage and ask for a break or use your voice. And afterwards, I would write down your summary of the meeting from your perspective. I did this and actually mailed it back to my school district, just kind of recapping the meeting and where we left off, just to make sure that I wasn't misunderstanding anything. Again, that's totally up to the person and to the family. You could always schedule another meeting to discuss your concerns. You don't have to be married to it too. So, and most of all, just make sure that you get the information you need and you share the information that they need. Don't be afraid to speak up. So moving on to advocacy again, next step, making choices. Visiting the potential classroom or school, this is key, and I believe we've all been there, done that. And on the next slide, I have a checklist that they can take with them when they go and visit potential schools. But very important, it's okay to take notes. It's okay to ask questions. Bring someone with you, and for sure it is okay to go there more than one time. Actually, I would recommend going more than once. My experience, I went one time in the morning, one time in the afternoon, 2 different kind of ideas of how things move and groove and what it looks like in the classroom, especially if they're looking at a half-day program. You'd probably want to look at both the AM class and the PM class to get an idea of size and range of students' capabilities and stuff too. It's also very important that when they visit the classroom or school that they're visiting the actual age group that their child would be in or the potential classroom that the child would be participating in, and not to kind of get snowballed and move ahead and see the bigger picture, because those won't be the kiddos that their child will be interacting with. Do research online. Again, networking with your families in your district and out of your district. One of the things here with the support groups, I know Beth is really working on, within this next year, trying to find Hands of Voices members that want to start parent connection meetings in their areas. And I know, Allison, you've had a huge cry from your group that you've been working with for parent support and parent gatherings. So that is one of the things that she really wants to adopt, is starting more of these parent connection meetings, finding members that would like to host the meeting in a location to, sorry, I just saw the thing in the chat. So trying to get gatherings together and get them rolling, so when our families move out of the Guide by Your Side system and they're more dependent on the Hands and Voices part of it, they have somewhere to communicate with and people to discuss things with. So what is the recommendation if the district will not allow visits, is the thing going on in chat. I would really want to know why the district would not allow visits. I've never, in my experience, had that happen.
Well, as of late, I've heard that there are districts that will not allow visits during school hours because it's disruptive to the students in the classroom.
Well,
and these are just calls that I've gotten just randomly because I'm known as the IEP guru.
Right.
And all I've said is you just need to be persistent, and I don't know the outcome of them, but there were at least 3 issues as of late.
You know, and I actually had a similar issue with my district, that they didn't want us coming to visit. And same thing, it would be disruptive, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, how can we make this work? I obviously want to see the classroom that he could potentially put in. I want to know what's going on. And they let us come and visit, but they said that we wouldn't be able to go in the classroom. And so I'm like, fine, whatever, you know, one step at a time. And so
it's in confidentiality, and it's like, you know, you're going to go in there and know that, you know, Peggy Sue. I mean, some of the reasonings behind the district are just kind of ludicrous. But
Right. Well, and so we ended up going, and with the idea that we were only going to be able to see from the doorway, essentially. And what ended up happening is the person that gave us the tour, they let us right into the classroom. And it's just kind of like, okay, fine, didn't need to worry about it. So I would just maybe suggest to the family to speak with the district and say, okay, I want to see the classroom. You're saying it'll be disruptive. When can we make this work? Or is there a possibility of doing it this way, you know, just viewing it from the doorway or something, or from the back of the room where they won't even see me come in, or, you know, just throwing out different suggestions, trying to see what would work. Because potentially by the time they get there, it might be a whole different story and it might not be a big deal. And worst comes to worst, they go there and they do stick to their guns, then the family goes back to the district if they didn't feel that was good enough and tries again. That would be my best advice at this point, because I just can't imagine putting your child on a program that you haven't seen. I don't know. Any other thoughts?
I think a lot of people do put their children in programs they haven't seen, and that's why the districts have that view.
Yeah, I believe you're right, too. I mean,
I think that's where the stem of a lot of this is, and then they get a parent that asks to see it, and all of a sudden the red flag goes up. Oh, no, we have a difficult parent. And my number one goal when teaching any advocacy is to make sure that that parent-school relationship is never damaged. And so I never want them to be so bulldoggish, and you have to let me in there. So I just didn't know if anybody had any recommendations. And I just tell them to be persistent and say, you know, it's really important to us. What can we do? And, you know, just similar to what you said. So.
Right.
Anybody else had any other magic gems that might work?
Any other experiences from anyone? Allison, does your school allow tours?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem. We have them all the time. Kids the kids are distractible, but
my kids' district allows them all the time. That's no problem at all. It's a couple of other districts that are having problems.
Right.
So I guess it just depends on who's running that, you know.
You know, and I would just, like you explained to the family beautifully, is that you don't want to damage the relationship, and, you know, maybe approaching the district like, how can we make this work? And kind of putting the ball in the middle and saying, let's work together and see where we can get to appease you and to appease me. Because certainly you don't want to get feathers rustled before you've even sat down at the table. But you do want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, too. Because I know from my personal experience visiting the classroom, you know, the aide, first of all, there was more aides than there were the teacher, and the aides that were working with the kids were giving the kids answers. And I was like, okay, how is that going to challenge him? You know, and would I have known that if I hadn't visited the classroom? Absolutely not. I would think that my kid was a star student because he'd come home with great papers all the time. So it's definitely worth checking out. So next one, classroom checklist. Another one off the Advanced Phonics website. But a great tool to just take with you, fill in, you know, how many kids are in the classroom? Are they in the actual age of my child? Are they ranging below my child, above my child? What does it look like? Are all key questions to consider when you're looking at a classroom. You know, how many teachers? What is the teacher's background? How many aides? Are those aides there throughout the day, part of the day, one time a week? What does it look like? You know, if there's behavior issues in the classroom, how are those tended to? So different things to think about. Yeah, I put pretty pictures in this time. All right. So advocacy. Knowing your rights, knowing that you can review your child's records, knowing the timeline, and that When I'm 3 book has a beautiful little graph, so it has a visual piece for the timeline, if the parents need that visual piece of what happens when, and knowing that you can ask questions. Below are the resources. The hearing journey is where I pulled up the documents that I've shared. Rights law. I'm not sure if all of you know that on the Rights Law site, there's a Rights Law Yellow Pages where you can look up for different services within your own state. It's kind of nice. And they do have a blog, too, that you can post questions. And then listenup.org, they also have like checklists for evaluating programs and stuff, too. Are there any other sites that maybe some of you know about that I haven't listed yet? All right. So let's see, another document. So the meat and potatoes of it all. What exactly needs to be in your IEP? Well, right here you got exactly what should be listed in your IEP. The present level of performance, And they might look a little bit different between each school district, but I think these are pretty key things where, from the IEPs that I've seen, these have been in them. Overall goals, which might be broken down into short-term, how your child's progress will be measured, what type of services or aids will be provided to support your child. If your child would not participate with any of non-disabled children, what would that be? Assessments, if your child will or will not participate in the assessments or any modifications to those. When the services start, when they end, the amount of services. I found a couple typos in their thing. I almost want to email them. And then how often they'll take place. Very key. How will you be informed of your child's progress? Are they going to just wait until next year to tell you what's going on, or are they going to let you know each quarter, every week? And then age 14, what transition services we'll be looking at in 16. And then 1 year before they reach adulthood, depending on your state law, which ranges between 18 and 21, the IEP must include a statement informing you of any rights that will transfer to him or her upon their age, reaching that age. So another quick and easy document kind of spelling out what the IEP looks like. I've even taken an IEP and, blocked out my Jack's name and, information and kind of showed what the document looks like and kind of how the pieces fit into it. And yes, it might look different district to district, but at least they kind of get an idea of where things fit and how it looks. Additional resources. Maria, I don't know if you know about this, babyhearing.org, but they have resources in Spanish. These, might have resources on transitioning, but I thought they were just overall good resources, so that's why I included them. And the reason, too, I included baby hearing is that also there's information for professionals, there's public service announcements, and so forth, too. So another great resource.
I will check it out now.
There you go. Bring it on. Obviously, choices for parents, again, English and Spanish, tons of links, different things to get parents connected and get them to the answers that they need. And you can always call Karen. There's her digits there if you need something else. And I think if you ever have families struggling with moving on to due process or any of those next steps beyond the actual IEP, then you can certainly call Karen, and she can kind of direct you on where to go and who to speak with, too. So, not that that's going to happen, but just in case. Illinois Sound Beginnings is Ginger's website, and she's actually working at revamping some of the stuff, the information that's on there. And I don't know if you all received that email that I had sent out for the Yahoo group. Through the Yahoo group I sent it out, but about that parent work group. She has materials on her site that she would like the parents to review and revamp, update, and also make them parent-friendly, as well as there are pamphlets and brochures and things from other professionals that this work group would be reviewing and updating. So if you're interested in that, speak with Karen so that she can keep you up to date on when and where the meetings are going to happen. And I also did mail out the letter to the Guide by Your Side families today talking about the Walk for Hearing, Shop with Script, and this parent work group. So if any of your families contact you about that, it's pretty much exactly the same information that I put in that Yahoo group email. Stipends. I'm sure I've talked about these before, but I can't stop talking about them because it's free money. And for a parent that might be wanting to attend a conference or a special meeting that they might have to pay for to get more information from themselves, to empower themselves, then I think they should be able to take advantage of the money that's out there. So these are two of the Illinois resources for families to apply for money to offset the costs of continuing their education. So, again, can't say it enough. And so what did you learn tonight? Transition Planning Conference is a meeting held between the parent, service coordinator, and a school district representative. True or false? Don't all say it at once.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone? The answer is true. When visiting a school program, a parent should take notes, look at how many students are in the classroom, ask questions, or all of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Thank you, ladies. A parent does not have the right to attend the IEP meeting. True or false?
False.
Thank you.
False.
False. Yeah, see, the not threw me off. I stumbled over my own words. Two more. The pop-up IEP on the Hands and Voices website is an IEP document already filled in that you can print and bring to your meeting. True or false?
False.
False. Thank you. To help a child adjust and get ready for their new school, the parent should drop them off for an open house, leave them at the door, give them lots of snacks, eating makes everything better, talk about the new school and show pictures, or they should cry a lot.
I've definitely done D.
I think we've all done D. The one that best fits is C. Make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into. The last thing you want to do is the day that the kids go into school say, okay, here we go, change of plans, good luck. So you'd have a hot mess on your hands when the kid got home. So I hope that you've gotten some new tools. I know, Andrea, you probably are like snoozing in the wings over there. But hopefully you have some new tools and have something to share to bring back to your families. Like I said, I've been noticing that some of our families that we have are getting into that transition stage. So I wanted to make sure that we're kind of all brushed up and ready to help them out when they get to where they need the help.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
Eli's IEP his birthday is November 7th, and I haven't been contacted by the school district yet. And I know they technically, I think, at least for me as a teacher, we have to notify within 10 days, or 10 days, definitely. So, but should I call, can I call and say, when is it going to be?
Already?
What?
How old is he?
He's 3. I mean, he'll have his next IEP.
This is for when he's 4. I would definitely call.
For when he turns 4, I should call. Because I need to know so I can plan.
I would call and say, I don't. It's because of the beginning of the year, and I'm sure that's all that it is. But I would definitely call to remind them, hey, I'm out here. I'm waiting.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's okay to say, with my schedule, I have very limited times that I can make for the meeting, so I don't want to make sure that we're setting it up last minute where I might have a conflict in my schedule.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, it's very easy to say that, and it's, the truth.
Yeah, okay, I just try not to be that.
I can tell you guys a little story. Andrew is going through an IEP because he has a speech delay. That's my little guy, and he doesn't have but he does have a speech delay. And my district, who is usually pretty phenomenal, gave me one date, and that was the only option that we got.
Wow.
There was no other option. Apparently a new person has taken over the early childhood transition position or whatever it is, and she's from what the therapist said, who I've known from other assessments, is that she's just overwhelmed. But I got one option. Luckily it worked out for us, but no other options. And I said, well, what would have happened had I said, I can't make it? She said they probably wouldn't have went past his birthday.
Yeah, wow.
So I was pretty perplexed. I was like, whoa, that's weird. I almost felt like testing the system.
When I send notices for Chicago, we send the parent the notice, your child's IEP is on such and such at this time. See you then.
We'll see you there, right?
Yeah. There's not an option. I mean, if the parent says they can't make it, then definitely we try to accommodate. But yeah, I didn't know all of this before Eli because I just know how things are done at my school and, with Chicago.
Usually they give you a few choices in this district, and I know all districts work differently, and, I'm sure if I had said, hey, I can't make it, then we would have had to do it after his birthday, and so be it. But, yeah, so it was pretty strange. Different.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's so hard because I've heard that before, too, where the district's like, this is the only date you have to choose from, and the families are torn because they're like, okay, really, is that the case? Or, do I have an alternative here because it's not going to work for me? And, I've had families go back both ways. They've gone back to the district and they were able to make another date work, and then they were told by the district, well, I'm sorry, it's going to be after your child's birthday. And so, tough stuff. Tough stuff working with them people. Any other comments or things to share, experiences? Andrea, anything that you think that we may have not touched on that you would suggest parents using as a resource or having knowledge of that would help?
I think that Wright's Law is what I always utilize to do my trainings because it's very written in layman's terms and very user-friendly and easy to understand. But I've read other ones, too, other IEP documents, and they all kind of write them in that way. It's just that Wright's Law has that website that goes along with it. So I always recommend to get the Emotions Through the Advocacy book and start reading it. In fact, I've got a few of my people who have 2-year-olds, or two of my people that have 2-year-olds that they've already purchased the book and have started reading it. Other than that, I have other resources if anybody ever wants them. I know there's lists out there. We made lists specific to deafness, where a lot of these sites are not necessarily specific to deafness. They're more just specific to disabilities. But it sounds like some of the websites that you have, I have not looked on, so they seem specific to hearing loss, so probably their lists or their checklists and stuff will be really good. But we made one for kids transitioning out of child's voice school.
Okay.
We made it when we had tried to formulate that IEP support committee, which never really took off. So if anybody ever wants that, just let me know. I can forward it to you.
Excellent. I'd love that.
Sure.
Anything more that I can have to pull from is wonderful. All right.
I can't think of anything else. I think you covered everything pretty well.
Okay. I know I flew through it, but, I know we've all been down the road, and we've all been down the road recently. Not maybe the 2.5 to 3 mark, but at least IEPs in general. So, I kind of felt like I'm preaching to the choir on some of the stuff. So I hope that you guys are okay with what we've discussed, and that you
can share. I'm sorry. Can we share this whole presentation sort of with our families?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to be able to pull it up and share. I'm not sure, share the recording. I'm not sure if that's going to work. However, if you want the PowerPoint, I can email you the PowerPoint, and then you'd have that to kind of click through.
That'd
be
great.
The ones that are pictures here, like this one, I have the little document in the corner. For some reason, through WebEx, I could not click on that little thing to make that document pop up. But when I have the PowerPoint pulled up on my computer, not through WebEx, you just click on that and it pulls up that little file.
Cool.
So that one pulled up the IEP meeting one. It pulled up this guy. So that, if you want this original PowerPoint, you can certainly use it. I can send it to you, and that's just how it works. You just click on that little Adobe guy, and then the other thing pops up.
Do you have this, Carrie?
Yes.
Do you have this in PDF or just PowerPoint?
Just the PowerPoint. Can you not open PowerPoints?
No, because I have this little notebook.
Oh, the notebook.
I don't have that software.
Okay.
I have Adobe, so I can share them with the PDF. But
let me see if I can convert it.
Okay.
And then I will see what I can do. I'm going to jot that down.
Hey, Carrie?
Yeah.
The only other thing that I would mention whenever you're discussing, and I think we went over this at the training, but when I went to a training seminar through Rights Law, and it was an attorney who was actually training it, the one thing that he drove home very, very strongly was you are not an attorney and you should never, ever provide legal advice. And I think that the way your PowerPoint presentations are presented, they're very basic, and I think that you would be safe by providing that. Because once you start going into, well, it's the law, they have to do this, they can come back and sue you if you gave them inaccurate information. And it's been done. It's been done when someone was trying to help somebody. So you can always premise, if you're going to email something like that or email any kind of document, just put a little note in there. Keep in mind, I'm not an attorney. This is just to help you out. If you have questions for an attorney, contact one.
Okay, very good.
Because
Thank you.
There was a regular old person who gave legal advice who got sued.
Okay. So, we don't want that.
Exactly.
Scary.
I know.
You know.
Just trying to help someone out and look at what happens, right?
Well, and when I first started teaching rights law, I never put that premise out there. And then my later classes, the first day I had my first PowerPoint slide was, I am not an attorney. What I am telling you today is not legal fact. It is informative only. You must do your own research to determine what the actual legality is, because you can get so much trouble.
Right. Okay.
So just keep that in mind, and always, if you have that in the back of your mind, you're never you won't stumble because it's too big of a risk.
Right. Well, and I'm sure from our experience where we have had our children start out at, the one thing that I remember, too, being drilled into our head is to never say best.
Correct.
So I think that's one thing that I forgot to mention throughout our discussion, is that you never say that this is the best placement for my child or whatever. You would always say that this is the most appropriate.
Right, and that's the legal jargon to memorize, is the most appropriate. If you would memorize anything, it's that one phrase in the legal document.
So if you haven't learned that phrase that pays, make sure that you do pick up on that. But also, if you do know that, just remind yourself to share that with other families. That really is the, for lack of a better word, most appropriate thing to say in a meeting. So, you like that?
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you. So we're all good. Like I said, next month's presentation is on EI by Nancy. And other than that, I have no clue what I'm teaching in November. These kind of fly by the seat of my pants here. So if you've got any special requests, feel free. Otherwise, I'll be picking up something. I was leaning toward maybe something with either siblings. I don't know. It depends. There's a couple things at the Investing and Family Support Conference on siblings, at least one or two, I believe, that I thought I might be able to pool some information on, because my experience at the time with siblings is not where it should be to really give you guys good advice or, direction. But so we'll see. But if you ever have any recommendations or anything specific that you would like to learn more about, feel free to let me know, and I can work that into a training. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't know where the rest of the crew went, and I just talked to some of them yesterday. They're like, "Okay, no problem. See ya." So we'll see what happened to them. But thank you again for being on the call, and you guys have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
Glad you're okay, Andrea.